you done now?
Two murders. Neither of them shot. I thought I heard a gun.
So did I.
I thought I heard the front door slam.
Oh, God. The murderer must have run out.
Three murders. 6 altogether. This is getting serious. No gun. Yvette dropped it here. Very well. I know who did it.
You do?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clue the Movie Podcast, where we read down the 1985 cult classic movie Clue, 1 minute at a time. My name is Bo Brad Gilmore, joined by the Doctor of Thugonomics, Jeff Smith, and of course, returning this week for minute 68, the patron of the Laker Jim Fletchcast. Laker Jim is in the building. Jim, how are you, sir?
Thank you very little. Great to be here.
And Jeff, how are things?
That's from the movie. Very nice.
It's a snowy day here in New Jersey, so I got my Clue sweater on that looks like the board game Clue. So
yeah,
I'm ready, guys. I'm ready for this minute.
He's cosplaying today for us.
He is. Look, guys, we were coming off of a not heavy dialogue minute, and in this one we get a little more dialogue and a little cliffhanger. Again, this starts with them discovering Officer Bill Valentine is no longer of the living. He has been deceased via the lead pipe. And then we see, of course, the singing telegram girl dead on the front porch there. And I took a real close look there, Jim. I tried to see what was in the hand, and I couldn't quite make it out. Jeff, did you take a gander at the hand there?
I did, because that was Jim's theory last week, that she's holding something, and took that theory all the way to it was a gun. It's hard to tell. It could be also her sunglasses. We don't know.
Hold on.
Because sometimes I do hold my sunglasses in my hand.
So look at this.
Try not to drop them.
Here's the shot. This is what you're referring to, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think that's a shadow. Because look at the top of it.
We need the
top of it has the curvature of like fingers almost.
The brick. Oh, maybe it's a glove.
Or maybe it's a glove.
We need the shout release 4K version. If someone was watching it in 4K right now, they know
that
exactly
wouldn't.
what that is.
Oh, I guess that would make sense. There's shadow a little bit here. Where was she shot? Right there, right in the heart. Looks like that's where the bullet hole is. Right there. In her chest, right above the heart, I think. Anyway, lovely shot again. She died the prettiest way you possibly can. Like she looks very pretty right here. Very pretty death. Now this is going to lead to several things. Of course, the discovery of the lead pipe. Now, Jeff, you've seen this movie a lot, I'm assuming.
A few times, yeah.
Who had the pipe initially? Who was given the pipe? Was it Scarlett?
Green got the pipe at the beginning, yeah. But it has definitely changed a lot of hands and been locked in a cabinet, and that pipe has gotten around.
The last time we see the pipe is where? It's getting taken out of the cabinet?
Yeah, I would say when I don't think we ever see it actually getting taken out. We just know that access to the cabinet is there, and then the next time we see it is rising above Officer Valentine's clueless head.
That's right. That's unfortunate, man. And then here's the thing too. None of these people are smart. I figured that out. Like, none of the game piece characters are smart, and I'll tell you why. At least to this point, is that sometimes they're thinking about putting a glove on whoever the killer is. The killer's thinking about fingerprints. They're thinking about DNA, okay? But not Professor Plum. Professor Plum picks that thing up.
He just picks that thing up and basically almost licks it to make sure that it is his. I think Wadsworth's the only one that's clever in this room.
Yeah.
Now, but was DNA a thing? Did they dust?
When Plum is laying pipe, he does not need a glove.
We could do a whole episode on pipe, friends.
Why didn't they call him Professor Pipe? That would have been a better name.
Well, he did smoke a pipe.
He did. He could have been Professor Pipe.
That was his choice.
Look. If this was a Bond movie, he's Professor Pipe, like 100%.
It'd be very on the nose. Yes.
Oh man,
Professor Peter Pipe.
I am Pipe. Now, as far as what could potentially be in the hand of the Go-Go, now, I don't see that as a weapon, as a gun, but it could have been, and we don't know what else she has on her person, and we don't know what else she had in her car. Perhaps she's coming up. I want to confirm the suspect is here. Return. Now, here's the other question: return to the car, get a weapon, whatever. Now, we looked at singing telegrams a couple weeks ago, Jeff. Do they actually have any sort of written notice? Like, is there any kind of written telegram that goes along with the singing, or is it just the singing? And the thing is, if you don't hear all the details of the singing on the first sing, do you have to pay for a replay? How does this work?
I'm sure I've never sent a singing telegram before, but I would imagine she does have notes, lyrics, because as the professional singing telegram girl, the message has to change each time. She's right now singing about somebody's birthday, and then the next is somebody's anniversary, probably the same melody, but then coming in and like, I'm singing about your murder party for this one. And then, and also the address and directions, because this place is out in the middle of nowhere. So, she had to map quest this, because I think that was a thing in 54.
You had to print it out.
The printed out. Yeah, that one. Yeah, on her dial-up for sure. I don't understand technology, but no, she definitely could have had written instructions. Like, especially, you would think when the door opened, she'd say, "Are you?" Well, that goes to Jim's theory. She doesn't say, "Is Professor Plum here?" Because she's not there as a real singing telegram girl. She knows who she's there for.
Exactly.
Because otherwise she'd be singing potentially to the wrong person. Like if the person that sent the singing telegram opened the door, it went, "Oh yeah, it's for my brother. Come in, and sing to him about this vacation he's taking." No, she just jumps right in. You know what? Maybe not even a singing telegram girl. Maybe that's not even her job.
You don't think
no,
so?
Because she didn't even get the right Western Union uniform.
That's true.
She got a bellhop uniform. She's a bellhop. She works at a hotel. She came from work.
Could it be the same hotel that Miss Scarlett,
They had, and maybe that's where the hotel where she would go with Professor Pipe.
It's
their little trysts.
It's very possible.
And a mannequin is not going to know a Western Union uniform from a bellhop uniform, so it was easy to get right by him.
It was easy to get by the mannequin.
Oh yeah, got right by the mannequin.
This is all making sense now.
I will say real quick. I misspoke last week. I thought that the chief showed up before Wadsworth started explaining who did it, and that's not the case. He starts explaining, and then the chief's going to show up in the middle of the explanation. So I just want to correct myself. 1 week later, I realized I was wrong on the timing.
Well,
Good catch.
Here's the interesting thing, though, because we're at minute 68. We know this movie is 97 minutes long. I'm not sure how much of that is the credits at the end. Let's say 6, right? 7, maybe.
Oh, I don't even think it's that long.
Okay, well, I'm giving them a little bit of something.
This isn't a Marvel movie.
Okay, so let's say 3. Is really the end of the movie like 30 minutes of him explaining? Does it really go that long?
Well, we have 3 endings, so there is some repeat. And he does explain probably for about 10. We're going to probably have about 10 episodes of Clue the Movie podcast where it's just interrupting Wadsworth explaining the finale.
Now, Jim,
it's be exhausting.
I might have asked you this prior, and forgive me if I had, but did you... when you would watch this movie, did you ever try to make sense of it? Like who was where and who was what and how could they have and who did it?
I was probably like 8 or 9 when I really fell in love with Clue. Started watching it like all the time. So it really, I just took it as, whatever the movie told me was happening is what happened. Not until much later in life that I start to figure out, like, I forget who says it. Like, it's like, he was the one missing when we were in the kitchen, whatever that line is. That's probably when I started to realize, like, oh shoot, I should go back and see who's missing in certain scenes. So I did do it eventually, and you can't really see anyone missing. So you really can't figure it out on your own.
Yeah, because there's certain parts, Jeff, as we've talked about quite a bit, that we've never really been able to figure it out, though. Never.
Right.
And I think obviously it's intentional, but it's an intentional thing. But
some of them just don't make any sense. How could Mrs. White be screaming?
Well,
and then is she coming down then she's coming down the stairs afterwards?
Yeah, that's the big one. Everybody always says, like, that makes no sense for ending 3, that it's Mrs. White when she's howling at the moon upstairs in the attic. When she's supposed to be killing a vet.
But some of the cuts here are quick, because in the last minute when we saw Wadsworth in the shower, and then the next cut he's walking down the stairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he does get a time jump.
He gets a bit of a time jump. So I mean, we got to give him a little bit of something. Now, as far as, again, things that happen in this minute, there's a little, not a lot, except for discovering dead bodies. Now,
a little, not a lot.
Little, not a lot. Wadsworth does make mention of he knows who did it, and the revelation's about to come. But I do want to play a little game here with our friend Laker Jim, especially in terms of your fandom of Fletch.
Sure.
Why don't we just take a minute, and I'd like to hear, I'm going to read you cast members from Fletch,
right,
and I want you to cast them in this movie.
Okay.
Is that okay?
In Clue?
Yeah, in Clue. So we're going to recast Clue with the cast of Fletch. Okay, I'm going to throw you, let's start with a layup. Chevy is who?
Chevy's Wadsworth.
Right. I actually feel like Chevy could pull that off at the end. I feel like he's a good one. Okay, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a. What do you think of Jodan Baker?
Jodan Baker is, I guess the easy answer would be the chief, but no, I will say Jodan Baker would be the cook.
Oh, okay, a little gender swap there. I like it. What about Dana Wheeler Nicholson?
Dana would be probably a good,
because you're short on women around here.
I guess she's got to be Scarlett.
I see her as Scarlett. Yeah. Now, a favorite of mine and a favorite of yours. Where do you think about Mr. Burton Gilliam? Who does he play?
Wow.
Yeah.
Burton. He would be Green, I think. He'd be a good I didn't do it guy.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
Okay, the lovely Gina Davis.
Gina Davis would be probably a good. She'd be a good Mrs. White.
Okay, Tim Matheson.
Matheson. Oh, geez. Matheson probably. Who would you put Matheson as?
I feel like Matheson could be a Professor Plum, right? A little sleazy, maybe.
Yeah, I guess Plum.
Wasn't Matheson kind of sleazy? And did you guys see 1941, the Steven Spielberg comedy?
Yes.
He was kind of a creep in that. So yeah,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Good call. He could be Plum for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this one at you. What do you think about this for Colonel Mustard, Mr. James Avery?
Uncle Phil.
Can we see him, or where do you see Uncle Phil?
Mustard. Uncle Phil. I think Uncle Phil's the cop.
Oh yeah.
I think Uncle Phil is the cop. I think the chief. See, I can see Fat Sam as the chief.
Fat Sam, George Wendt.
But then I'm trying to think.
Good motorist too, though.
And who do we make as Mustard?
Well, what about Bill Henderson? Could Bill do it?
Yeah,
Bill Henderson. Bill Henderson should be the chief. He should be.
He should get some
he should get
retribution
his
here.
redemption. Yeah. He comes in and goes, repent.
Unless you make oh my gosh, what's the name of Richard Libertini?
Oh, I forgot about Frank. Oh, Frank. I'm gonna make Frank actually. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna make Frank Plum.
Okay.
I'm gonna make Richard Libertini Plum, and I'm gonna make a Matheson Mustard. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They don't match up completely great, and I think I'm gonna make Fat Sam the chief. I can see him coming in at the end.
Now
George went.
Now we haven't cast Yvette, and I think we're really low on females in the movie. I don't know. Is there any other woman in the movie that I'm not thinking of?
There isn't.
No, is there a secretary? No, we don't. Do we see her? No, we don't. Do we?
In Fletch Lives, there's a woman that works in the office that he invites to the In-N-Out burger.
Right, of course.
We could do a gender swap on Yvette.
For?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's the butler. That's the maid.
Well played. I love it.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Like he was great in Airplane.
He was great in Airplane.
Yeah.
Airplane was great. Airplane 2, not so much.
Yeah.
Airplane 2? Oh, that's okay.
I've only seen Airplane 2
I've interviewed
once.
people from Airplane 2.
There's some great lines.
Wasn't Pat Sajak in Airplane
actually
2? Or did I make that up?
Yes, and Quentin Tarantino has famously been quoted saying he prefers Airplane 2 to Airplane, which is odd because you can't have Airplane 2 without Airplane because they recycle a lot from Airplane, a lot. Going back to Joe Don Baker as the cook, I like that because my favorite Joe Don Baker role, other than Fletch, is Cape Fear, where he dies in the kitchen. Spoiler alert. So it makes sense that he dies. He gets strangled by De Niro.
I'll tell you, in Fletch, when Joe Don Baker has Chevy in the jail, and he's talking about, the way we used to do it is, see, I stick myself here with this little knife, and then I put it in your hand. It's actually frightening. Like when he's talking, it's actually legitimately drama, Oscar level frightening.
Yeah, and you could see it in Chevy's acting, right? That's real acting there in that scene. Chevy shows he's legitimately scared for his life. Like there, he drops a couple of jokes, can I call my mother, tell her I love her? But you could see the fear in his voice, and he straightens out and he says, listen, I'm just like a reporter. Like, it's not my story, So, like, you could really see the acting there in Chevy. But actually, I think I might want to make Stanwyck Mr. Body. I think I'm swapping things around. I can't stop thinking about this, and then I'm going to shoehorn Gummy in there somewhere, but I'm not quite sure. I'll let you know later on.
Oh, good. Gummy's my favorite.
Yeah, Gummy. I mean, have we cast the motorist?
I love Gummy.
You're right. Gummy could be the motorist.
Gummy's
true.
Good motorist.
And then we don't have a singing telegram either. There's got to be another woman in the movie. Who am I not thinking of? There's got to be someone. Frank Underhill's wife
when he faints and
the nurse.
Oh yeah, the records nurse. Yeah, it could be the records nurse. She could be a vet.
We're really digging deep.
Wait, what's the line though where he's like, "You were scared. I felt that body there was my dead brother." Oh my gosh! What's the spleen? Was it? Wait. What was it? The spleen's a spitting image.
Spitting image. Oh God.
That's actually one of the underquoted moments, and I think is hilarious. His spleen looked just like him. Oh man. Okay, yeah. So the records nurse.
If you have not seen Fletch, everybody, we apologize, but it's kind of your fault. You should have seen Fletch.
There's no way anybody listening to this has never seen Fletch. Come on now.
Well, you thought your neighbor should have seen Clue, but
they do love Fletch. They do love Fletch.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They say they quote They quote something to each other all the time from Fletch, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't think of it right now, but they do. They brought that up at dinner. They're big Fletch people. Fletch and Back to the Future.
Using the whole fist, maybe?
Yeah, it was like a one word, and I can't think of what it is. But it'll come to me. Anyhow, nevertheless, that's a fun recasting though of this cast of characters. Now, when Wadsworth says he knows who did it, and it's the revelation in that moment. Everyone gets excited. I get excited as an audience member. I'm ready to see what happens here. But I don't know why, Jeff, he feels like as soon as he knows the gun is gone, that puts it all together for him. Because that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, no way. I think that's going to be his revelation, and I hope he's right. When he has to have everything already all put together, he just knows that no weapon, no crime. He's got somebody. Even that is pretty presumptuous because they could have shot the Singing Telegram girl and put the gun anywhere. And boy, would he had egg on his face if afterwards he goes, the gun is missing. Gentlemen, empty your pockets. Ladies, turn out your purses. And nobody has it. Like
Nobody has it.
Well, anyway.
Could that have been the fifth?
Could I interest in any of you in fruit or desserts?
Yeah. That could have been the fifth ending. Like, oh, none of y'all did it. Okay, cool. Let's pack it up.
Going back to how you're saying they're not smart. Even now, when they hear the front door slam, stupid Mustard, his theory is, oh, great, the killer must have run outside. He still thinks there's somebody else. There's still somebody else in the house that's not one of them. Come on, Colonel. If you're a real Colonel.
Yeah.
The killer ran out.
They are dumb. Or at least they come across as dumb, like everybody in here. Kind of except for Miss Scarlet. She never seems like she's a step behind.
One.
She's the smartest one.
She heard the front door slam. The only time she's dumb is when she thinks there's somebody behind the curtain. When it's so obvious that it's just
a wind,
a sheer curtain blowing in the wind in the ballroom
from the perfectly broken glass.
But I think that also could have been her way to get Mustard to bugger off. Because she knows he's a coward.
What is she, English all of a sudden? Bugger off.
Well, it's what? Bugger off. Well,
they are in New England. So
we don't know. It's the New English.
Now, is there any other, well, you know what? Real quick, before we even move on, let me read from the original script. This has become a favorite of ours. Let's see if there's any differences that would make a difference.
Mannequins.
Okay, here we go. We move with Wadsworth back in the hall, and gradually the 6 guests congregate there with him. Mr. Green coming down the stairs, Mrs. Peacock and Professor Plum emerging from the cellar, Colonel Mustard from the wreckage of the dining room, and Miss Scarlet from the ballroom. Slowly they wander around. I like how it says round and not around. That makes it better. Slowly they wander around, checking the rooms. First, they come to the billiard room and see Yvette lying strangled, the noose around her neck, across the billiard table. Dazed, they turn and see the corpse of the cop in the lounge. Mr. Green, 2 murders? They all look at each other. Professor Plum, neither of them was shot. I thought I heard a gunshot. I don't know why Professor Plum is English. Mrs. White / Mrs. Peacock, so did I. Ms. Scarlet, the front door slammed. Colonel Mustard, oh God, the murderer must have run out. Wadsworth, urgently, let's go and see. They all run to the front door. Wadsworth throws it open, and at their feet, the body of the young woman. The bullet's point of entry is seen clearly on her forehead. Wadsworth, 3 murders. Mr. Green, 6 altogether. Wadsworth, seriously after a pause. This is not funny anymore. They gape. He turns and slams the door shut. He crosses to the door of the lounge. He looks on the floor and then turns to the others. Wadsworth, no gun. Yvette dropped it here, remember? Now it's gone. They all look at each other with deep suspicion. Wadsworth quietly, very well, I know who did it. Oh, you do? He nods.
You do?
There. And there it is. So, I mean, not big differences. A couple of dialogues.
Pretty close.
Shot in the forehead instead of the heart. I think that's a good call to get that out. We don't want to get shot in the forehead. Little too much. A little too much for what we're going for. No mannequins there. But Jim, you have something?
Yeah, have you guys seen the show Traders?
No.
I think it's available on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a very Clue-like show where a bunch of reality stars are put in a house, and there are like 2 or 3 people who are the traders, okay? But nobody knows who they are. Each week, the house tries to figure out who the traders are, and they vote somebody out. If they don't vote out a traitor, that night, the traitor murders somebody in the house. And week by week, the house members are being murdered until they can figure out who all the traitors are and vote them all out. It's pretty, it's not exactly Clue-like, but the murder part really makes it feel like Clue. And Alan Cumming is the host of the show.
Oh, okay.
And he's very Wadsworth-like, on the show. So he's sort of like the host of the house as well, so if you haven't seen it out there, give it a shot. It's called Traders. I believe it's on Peacock. There's 2 seasons there. It's very enjoyable. And if you love Clue, I think you'd be into this show. If you're into reality as well, it's pretty much a big mess of reality stars as well.
Well, that's interesting. I think I have one on the books, an interview with Mr. Alan Cumming coming up, and I'm going to ask him about his Clue inspirations, if there are any. And I have to give a shout out to Laker Jim. Because that is interesting. That would be interesting because it seems as though I like the idea of that. Now, when you say they get murdered, what does that mean? Someone blast them with a paintball gun and they're laying there? Like, what are we talking about?
No. So what happens is the traders meet at the end of the night. They're hooded. They come together so nobody knows who they are, and they have a meeting on who they're going to kill that night. And they discuss who is like on their trail, so to speak, who's been accusing them or whatever, and they kill that person. They write the decree on a piece of paper to have that person murdered. That person then gets pulled into a room with a letter, and the letter says, "You have been murdered tonight."
Oh, okay.
And you're off the show, kind of. So, yeah. So, you got to kind of like tread lightly as to who you accuse is a traitor, because if you're actually accusing a traitor and you don't get them out, the traitor will
come for
murder you in revenge. Yeah, exactly. So it's really a good show. It's fun, and it'd be interesting to hear what he says about that show when you interview him.
Yeah. I would love to ask him about that in the Clue inspiration. Now I have a new show to binge. This is phenomenal. Now we're about to, like I said, go through 20 minutes of Wadsworth's explanation, and which also means, Jeff, we're coming up on the end of this thing.
I know. This is an interesting moment in the history of Clue, the movie podcast. We're getting into Act 3. Oh my goodness!
I know
we're here.
It's almost over. The journey's almost over.
Never thought we'd get this far.
You know what I wanted to bring up as well, too? Something I had no idea about. Speaking of this amazing journey that you guys have been on, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, no pun intended. I had no idea I was a key component in bringing you guys together.
Yes.
I had no idea that something I posted alerted Brad of the documentary, and you guys got together. So I'm really somewhat the father of
This is your fault.
Clue the movie podcast, so
you're
to speak.
You're the podfather.
Hey, so if you like this podcast, you can thank Laker Jim, and if you hate it,
yeah, and if you hate it, let me know
fault.
as well.
Yeah, I actually vividly remember. It was like a weekend or something, and I saw you post about the Clue documentary. I was like, no way, somebody posted. Someone decided to make a documentary about this movie. It was like, a reaction of somebody doing a minute-by-minute podcast or a Back to the Future podcast or a Fletch podcast, for that matter. And it did exist.
Right.
Great minds.
So specific.
Yes, I was very honored to hear that, and I forget, one of you guys was sick, I think, that weekend. That's why you did the retrospective. But I'm glad you did, because I had no idea.
There it is, man. That's how it goes. Well, Laker Jim, we do appreciate you for joining us again, back-to-back weeks on Clue the Movie Podcast, and perhaps you'll be back again before we put a bow on this bad boy. I mean, there's a finite number of episodes. We can only do so much, and it's kind of in some ways,
and it's amazing. I was just gonna say, it's amazing we had the host of Fletchcast on here and didn't really talk about Bill Henderson and the fact that he's in both movies at all.
Yes.
Well, we made reference.
So that's I'm just saying, this. You think you know where we're going, and we turn.
You know,
All of a sudden, mannequin.
Man, yeah, we should jump right into that. But also too, and when you interviewed each other, no, I think Brad, you interviewed him, I think, on the Back to the Future podcast.
Yes.
And you guys mentioned, there's even a podcast about Fletch. These guys do, and I was like, they're mentioning me. Like, I mean, literally, it was like a huge moment in my life, like to be mentioned by somebody that I was a fan of, that I was listening to. So it's all sort of full circle here.
It is cool, man.
It's so funny it's funny to listen to that one, because that's that Back to the Future podcast. The first time Brad and I ever talked to each other, and it's interesting to hear how polite we are to each other, as opposed to now where we just talk over each other. But also, like,
you moron.
To think about, whatever. To think like when we're talking about Fletchcast, that's just kind of an idea out there. Oh yeah, that's nice. Some guy who I don't know does this, and now here we are. It's insane. Yeah. Our worlds change in just a short period of time.
Kindred spirits.
I thought after the Clue documentary, I hope I never have to talk about Clue again. And here we are. A year later, actually, a year ago, we had a screening of the last time I've been to a screening of Who Done It, the Clue documentary in California was actually a year ago today of the date we recorded this, and it was a pretty bad screening, but it was fun anyway. And so even a year later, here we are.
Here we are, man.
Amazing.
It doesn't stop. Well, for my esteemed colleagues here, Mr. Laker Jim Fletchcast, new episodes on the way. Is there anything else that you want to plug here or promote? No,
that's it. That's all. I do Fletchcast, and then I'm a full-time dad every other minute of the day.
Well, there you go. Well, you know what? Some jobs are more important. Not all heroes wear capes, Laker Jim.
No time for anything else.
But and Jeff, shaking your head in horror, you can find him at Cluedo.
No, in appreciation, yes.
In appreciation.
Cluedoc.com.
And I'm Brad Gilmore, and we'll be back with minute 69, of Clue the Movie podcast.
Excellent.
Thanks, boys.